And now may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be always acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. History is filled with people who became famous by looking for one thing and finding something quite different. Most of them explorers. Some of them got lost. Some of them simply ran around until they bumped into something noteworthy. And I guess the best example of that would be Christopher Columbus. Columbus, of course, who set sail in 1492 from Europe, originally set out to find a better sea route to Asia. Now, Europe and Asia are connected by land, but the travel to get from Europe to Asia overland is extremely difficult. It's mountainous and very dangerous. And you can also get there by sailing around the entire continent of Africa. But that takes forever. So Columbus figured there had to be a better way. So he set sail from Europe directly west, trying to find a shorter route. Now today it seems to be foolish to us because he's sailing in the wrong direction, but he thought he was going to be able to get there faster. So he set out looking for Asia and found instead what came to be known as the New World. More specifically, the Bahamas, probably the island of San Salvador. So here's Columbus, looking for one thing and finding something completely different. He knew what he was looking for. He just never found it. In our gospel reading this morning from John, there is so much going on in that we could talk about, but I really want to focus on one question that Jesus asks, and it's in verse 38. John chapter 1, verse 38. Two men who would later become his disciples come up and start following Jesus. He turns around and asks them a very simple and direct question. What are you looking for? Or some translations read, what are you seeking? And sometimes those questions that Jesus asks like that are so spiritually profound. They seem so simple and direct, right? What are you looking for? What are you seeking? But when we think about them in a spiritual context, we understand how deep and how profound Jesus really is and what he's really asking us. Because he's asking us the same question today. What are you looking for? What are you seeking? That's an incredibly important question for us to answer. Let's take it just at face value. What are you looking for in life? What is it you're looking for? What is it you're seeking? And you can answer that question very simply by writing down what your priorities are. Where do you spend most of your time and talent and treasure? What are your priorities? What are you looking for? Most people, I think if they were brutally honest with themselves, would say, I'm looking to make myself happy. Whatever makes me happy, I'm going to find that and do it. That's what I'm looking for. The problem with that is, whatever we're looking for that makes us happy, first of all, is very hard to find. Happiness, as we've said, is a fleeting emotion. It is a feeling. And we can be happy one moment and unhappy the next. But the bigger problem is, whatever it is that you're seeking to make yourself happy, even when you find it, is not going to make you happy. You may make the chasing of money the primary goal in your life. And you could spend your entire life accumulating money, but you know what? It won't make you happy. Because the more you have, the more you have to get. And no amount will ever be enough because the pile has to keep getting bigger. And I think it's that way with almost anything we are seeking in this life from a material standpoint. Could be money, could be success, could be stuff we save and collect, could be whatever. Doesn't matter how much of it you have, you want to get more. So as we look at that question Jesus asks, he's asking us directly this morning, what are you looking for in this life? What are you seeking? And he reminds us that the only thing worthwhile, the only thing that will last, the only thing that will give us exactly what we need is him. Money, you can't ever get enough of, and even if you could, you can't take it with you. And it doesn't make you happy while you're here. And the same goes for everything else. Only Jesus truly satisfies. Look for him. Seek him in your life. Make him your priority. Because he will give you exactly what you need. Exactly what he knows that you need. But I think there's another question we have to ask too, beyond that question of what are you looking for? What are you seeking? Here's another really good question. Why? Why are you seeking it? Why are you looking for it? Because when we start thinking about chasing money and fame and success and accomplishment and all those other things, that question is answered in a selfish way. Why? Because I want them. They make me happy. Why are we seeking what we're seeking? And when we think about that question, think about this as well. Even when you're seeking Jesus, there are different motivations for looking for him. There are different motivations for seeking Jesus. For example, you think about the story of the Last Supper and the night of Jesus' arrest in John chapter 18. And after they finish dinner, Jesus has been out in the garden, he's prayed, and here comes Judas and his group of armed men. And they come up to Jesus, and Jesus asks them the same question that we just heard in John 1:38. He looks him right in the eye and he says, who are you looking for? And Judas and the men answer, Jesus of Nazareth. They had the right answer. They answered the question correctly. But their motivation was all wrong. They were seeking Jesus not to know him, not to honor him, not to love him, but to capture him and arrest him and kill him. It's not enough just to say, I'm seeking Jesus. I'm looking for Jesus. Because a lot of people say that. That's exactly what was said in the night of his arrest in the garden. And we know what happened to Judas. Think instead to another story in John, the resurrection story, where the women come on Sunday morning to prepare the spices, to prepare Jesus. and they find the tomb empty. And a mysterious person is there. So the women decide to ask him, what has become of Jesus? But he comes up to them and knows what's in their heart and asks them instead that same question we've heard already. Who are you looking for? And unlike Judas, their hearts are pure. Their motivations are right. They're looking for Jesus to serve him and to honor him and to love him however they can. And that is when Jesus reveals himself to them. He shows himself to them as Jesus. They fall at his feet in amazement and in wonder and in awe. It's all the same question, all in the Gospel of John. And Jesus asked it 3 times. First, to the 2 men who would become his disciples. Then to the men who showed up to arrest him. And then to the women at the tomb. Who are you looking for? And that's the question we must answer today as well. And not just who are we looking for, but why? Do we just say we're looking for Jesus because we think that's what people want to hear? Because we think it'll make us popular? Because we think it'll get us in good standing with the Lord? Or do we really mean it? Are we truly, truly seeking and looking for the true gift, the one thing in life that we need? Who are you looking for? You know, it's kind of funny. We were talking about Columbus earlier. There are 12 cities in America that are named after Columbus. Kind of interesting because that's a lot of cities to be named after somebody who got lost. 12 of them, of course, the closest one being Columbus, Indiana. Every month, Darlene and I go down to Columbus. And the reason we go down there is because she has found a hair cutter that cuts her hair perfectly. And if you look at her hair, you would agree. It's a fantastic haircut. And this is no small feat. As people who have lived all over the country, who have moved from town to town, the search for the perfect hair cutter and the perfect haircut has been almost like a search for the Holy Grail. From town to town and city to city, we've gone, and now finally we found it. We have searched. We have found. And if you'd asked Darlene, what are you looking for? She would have told you, I am looking for someone who can cut my hair like this. All kidding aside, though, we're all looking for something in this life. We're all searching for something because there's something inside of us that wants to be close to God. There is something that causes us to step back and say, what's it all about? What's the meaning? What's the purpose of life? What are you looking for? What are you searching for? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it success? Jesus comes to us just as he asked those disciples in our gospel reading and asks us that same question this morning. What are you looking for? And why? Search for the only thing in this life that matters. You will find everything you are looking for in Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.